What in life was going on with you that led you to Buds?
I got expelled, and then I went to juvenile hall, and then was on house arrest for about 6.5 months. Then after that, I asked my probation officer if I joined the military, if I could get off probation.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Mountain Tough Podcast. I am your host, Dustin Diefendorfer, and CEO, and I'm so glad that you are here diving into these episodes week after week. It is our goal every single show to bring you an inspiring guest that adds some tools to that mental fitness toolbox, that mental toughness toolbox, so that you can level up, stay dangerous, and live this always ready lifestyle. If you are brand new to the Mountain Tough Show, I do want you to know that as a podcast listener, you do get an exclusive deal to the Mountain Tough app for all your physical, mental, spiritual, emotional training. As a listener, all you need to do is go to mountaintough.com, click Start Free Trial, and enter the code MOUNTAINPOD. That's MTNPOD, all one word, all caps. That's going to get you 6 weeks of free training on the Mountain Tough app as a podcast listener. Shifting over now to today's episode. On the show today, we have a phenomenal guest, Sam Mackey. Sam was in the military for 20 years, including time at the U.S. Navy SEALs, and now he's running a brand called Outsider, an outdoor and lifestyle brand. A phenomenal conversation with Sam as we dive into mindset, mental toughness, and some of the things that helped him accomplish amazing things, not only in business, but also his time at the SEAL teams. So please stand by for my conversation with Sam Mackey. I've been following you guys for a while, and it's been cool to see what you have kind of created. And then, the big thing I've noticed for sure is the show you and Jay have created has gone like viral in our community. We're up here in Bozeman, and we have a lot of different hardcore mountain hunters all around us. The Mountain Tough Lab sitting here, we sit right next to Stone Glacier headquarters. So Stone Glacier headquarters and us are side by side buildings. And so there's just this really cool ecosystem of mountain hunters. And for I'd say the last 6 months, 9 months, so many people have been like, hey, you got to check out this show. You got to check out this show these guys are doing. So it's been cool to watch you guys grow and settle into your zone. It's been awesome.
Well, I really appreciate that. We have a little micro community there in Bozeman, and a couple years ago, I started going to TAC maybe 4 years ago or so. And before one of the TACs, probably 3 years ago there in Bozeman, I actually went to your gym for a little bit. I
Nice.
gave a guy a ride from the airport that was heading your way, so it was easy for us to drop him off. Then walked in there and saw quite a bit of team guys.
Yeah.
Doing the. You guys were having some big fitness challenge or what have you, and we eased on up to Bozeman for the weekend. Then saw you guys start trickling in.
That's awesome.
And then Jay has a ranch about 80 miles or so north of Bozeman. Mm-hmm. So I find myself there quite often, and I enjoy it thoroughly.
Yeah.
So Bozeman's a cool little spot, man. Beautiful. Never gets old.
Man. Yeah. It's amazing. Just the community here it's a bunch of people kind of pushing the limits hard. No matter where you go, you'll run into world champion skiers, world champion kayakers, everyone kind of comes here to push the limits, especially in the outdoors. So it you'll feel like you're doing great. You'll go do a big 20-mile trail run, and then you'll run into someone that did 40 or 50 miles that morning. There's always someone that's just crazy pushing the limits around here.
Now, you ran ultra marathons, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
What's the furthest you've ever ran?
My furthest was the rim to rim to rim. And so on that one, you wind up just shy of 50 miles. You wind up at about 48, but you have to drop into the Grand Canyon, and then you have to climb the north side, and then you drop out of the north side, and you have to reclimb out of the south side. So the vert you get on that one is crazy, but it's like one of the coolest runs or even hikes in the country. Just the scenery is nuts. But my wife and I, we were super into ultra marathoning and marathoning for a long time. And back then, I talk about this a lot. Like we were running a lot in like 2011, 2012, 2013. And at that time, 50 milers and 100 milers were kind of the top of the pyramid. And now it's like 100 milers are normal and 250 milers are the new kind of like top. It's crazy how like human performance just keeps evolving.
Nothing's ever enough. Good. 50 miles. I mean, running's never been my forte. And I've always been jealous of guys that, are really good at running. I actually got dropped from buds the first time I went 4 time runs and an injury, but it's a long sob story. But I think mental toughness is the most prominent within runners because I mean, that, to me anyway, because that's all it is. And maybe it's harder for me because I'm a bad runner.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of mental toughness, but what do you think about that?
I agree. Yeah. Well, I agree from your perspective that the people that hate running, it becomes all mental. There are like a few small percentage of humans that love running. They have like the joy of running. They get that runner's high and they're kind of like built and made to run. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think for those individuals, they're relying less on the mental toughness than compared to like individuals like you and me that will probably run when we have to, but it's the mindset that's kind of getting us to the finish line. That was one thing I fell in love with when we first got into marathon running. My wife loves running. I hated it, but I liked the mindset it took to like get to the finish line and developing and like learning more about that mindset.
Interesting. I had a kid in my buds class, or he's not a kid. It was Chuck Keating, Charlie's Keating.
Yeah.
He was in my buds class, and he's just one of those natural born runners you talk about. He was running cross country, University of Indiana, and he would just run with me because we were friends. And in the 4 mile time runs, and he would stop at the rocks. His mom lived in the condos there, like take a bite of a bagel and have a sip of a coffee and chit chat real quick, then catch up with me. And then at the very end, I always felt horrible. I was in the back and his mom's cheering me on, it's like 5 a.m. in Coronado. And I'd hit that finish line and I was like the rhino in 300, just plowing through the ground.
Oh,
But I was determined to never, after I got dropped and I went back, I was determined to never fail a run.
yeah.
And that's all it was. It was just all in between my ears.
Yeah.
And I just had to move my feet faster and suck it up more.
Man, I know.
Yeah.
What in life was going on with you that led you to buds?
Great question. Initially, what made me want to become a Navy SEAL was the movie Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen. And I saw that maybe, I don't know, 5th grade or something like that. I don't even know if I should have been watching it. Probably not. But then I boxed my whole life, all through middle school, all through high school. Found myself getting a little bit of trouble in high school. So I got expelled, and then I went to juvenile hall for like a week, and then was on house arrest for about 6.5 months. Then after that, I was on probation, and my probation was 2 years, I believe, or a year and a half, something of that nature. And I was called deferred entry of judgment probation. So if I didn't get in trouble while I was on probation, everything got expunged off my record because I was 17. It happened right before my 18th birthday. But I lost my driver's license and all that. And so the desire to join the military came back because I asked my probation officer if I joined the military, if I could get off probation. And she said yes. So I went right to recruiter's office.
Oh,
and
man.
that's what sealed the deal for me.
That's wild.
And I was 03, and then finally went to boot camp January of 04.
It's crazy how like you getting in trouble that led to buds is kind of like a common thread with special operations where you're just kind of like all in on one thing or the other. And if it's all in on the bad path, it can be super damaging, but it's almost like that same mentality makes you all in on the good path.
Yeah, I can't help myself, and anything worth doing is worth overdoing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it is, the SEAL teams is a very, an eclectic group of individuals. You have, people from all walks of life. You have people from very affluent families to, guys that were living in the back of their El Camino before, until they went to boot camp, and so it's a very interesting, very intelligent group of, not one of those guys, but a very intelligent group of human beings also. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a great place to grow up and work for 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
20 years.
mhm.
Wow. Was it, did you go into like a crash and burn, or did you have a really kind of rock bottom moment coming out with like 20 years of that tribe and that? I mean, you had
No,
the tribe, you had the mastery. You guys are very
yeah.
autonomous. It'd be hard to come
Mhm.
out of that.
My fun meter was pegged, so I was ready to go out, right? And I see some guys have issues. They'll do 8 years, 12 years, something of that nature, and they get out, and I believe they're the ones that have the most trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because they're not completely fulfilled. But I think around, like, for me, it was around the 16-year mark. My fun meter was pegged. The culture was changing a little bit, or quite a bit, and it was just time for me to go to pasture.
Mm-hmm.
And then around that same time, Jay and I were hunting, and he was outsider, was brand new, and then I kind of got involved with it over the course of a week-long hunting trip, and so I had something to segue into immediately. I was
Mm-hmm.
actually doing that, working for outsider before I retired.
Okay.
So it was a seamless transition into one challenging thing into the next challenging thing. So, and I think, running a business is way more stressful than combat or anything I ever did in the SEAL teams,
Oh
for
man.
sure.
Yeah. The,
So,
the mental toughness of entrepreneurship. It's
oh
crazy.
yeah. So the other day, it's like I sleep like a baby. I wake up every 2 hours crying.
Oh, you guys
But
have probably recently just gone through a lot of highs and lows just with like your product and this tariff stuff we're seeing. Not
mhm.
only like is entrepreneurship hard enough, but you add that gas onto that fire.
Yeah, I got pretty fortunate there. We had a great fourth quarter, so I ordered a lot of inventory. So I have a full warehouse right now that does not, was not subject to the tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely makes you rethink your approach, right, on your organization, on everything. Make sure you have, you hedge your bet, if you will, and start getting involved in some other brands and or new products, right,
Mm-hmm.
stateside. So that's what we've been doing, but it's been challenging, but it's also been very rewarding because I wholeheartedly believe, in the slingshot effect. Anytime something bad happens, you go back, and then it gives you the resilience to slingshot further past where you were before you started going back.
Yeah,
So, and I think that holds very true to most things in life.
I agree. Yeah, you go through these tough times and you hit those walls, and at first that wall is incredibly painful and you're going through a lot of pain, and then over time you find that as you go through it, it was just like a huge capacity building lesson, and the capacity you come out of with on the other side of that, like if you can just hold on, that capacity is worth it. And I think it'll be the same thing here with a business scenario, that like the organizations that come out of this funk around the tariffs are just going to be stronger on the backside.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely believe in that. And I also, believe in the tariffs. I don't think we should be getting ripped off the way we do. I think, I have no issue with making America better, right? Make us
Mm-hmm.
stronger financially and bring production back and manufacturing back to the United States. I agree with everything. And it just makes my business, the way I had it set up, originally, a little difficult, and just some contingencies had to come into play, and I'll, circumvent and move on.
And do you find like all the skills and life lessons you learned from the teams, a lot of that is helping you as an entrepreneur?
Yes, the resiliency for sure, right? And then always having a lot going on. I feel like I've just always had a lot going on, whether, learning a lot, traveling a lot, doing something new, a new leadership position, a new skill set, or what have you. I think it definitely prepared me for this line of work, right? And now I wouldn't do anything else. I know it's extremely difficult, but it also could have a massive upside, right? And you can't get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like where you work hard, and the harder you work, the further you'll go, right? And that's what Outsider is. I just run a performance-based organization, and that is it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you were in the teams through like the busiest times that we probably had in GWAT going in, and so you probably got on a team in like 2005.
No, I showed up because I got dropped at the beginning of the second phase. Went to the fleet where I was a master at arms for a year and a half, right? And that was every day was the worst day of my life. I was standing there checking IDs. I would have. There was times I'm like, I think I could chew off a finger. If someone's like, "Hey, we'll put you in Hell Week right now," I think I could legitimately have chewed off a finger. Right?
Dang.
That's how bad it was. But then, when I got back to Buds, it was easy because it's right where I wanted to be. So end up checking into the SEAL team at the beginning of 2008.
Okay.
After all that, so took a roundabout way to get there, but finally got there. So checked in, went right on deployment. We went to UCOM, and I didn't even know what that meant. Right, we were standing on the beach right after graduation. And when the instructors came out and he said, "Hey, who's all going to SEAL Team 8?" We all raised our hand. He's like, "Hey, who wants to deploy next week?" And I raised my hand again. I think I was just going to go to my grandpa's house and go fishing. So I really had no plans. So took a couple days there in Coronado, then flew to Virginia Beach, and had to go up to DC and get a bunch of passports and things of that nature, and for myself and for other guys. And then deployed to UCOM, and then sorry, I'm going to digress one bit. We're standing on the beach, like, "Hey, who wants to deploy?" And raised my hand, and all I heard about Team 8 is everyone was in Sadr City, right, and or Baghdad, and I had no clue, what UCOM is. So I show up to a SEAL team, check in, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to UCOM." I said, "Great. Where's that?" They're like, "Oh, it's Europe." And I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck are we going to be doing in Europe?" And get over there, and it was interesting, very intimidating checking in. Some of the guys that were in my platoon are just the best guys in the world, but also can be, extremely intimidating.
Yeah.
And then Russia invaded Georgia like a week later. And so we push out to Romania, do some stuff on the Black Sea, nothing crazy by any means. And came home. I was deployed for like 4 months or so. Came home from that deployment, and then started my new guy cycle. But I already had a rapport with the older guys and the leadership. So I was able to get some good schools and, kind of start building my reputation before everyone else got there. So I had a little bit of a leg up ish. Right. But you're a new guy, so there's no really leg ups. But I was fortunate to do that little deployment right away.
Yeah, it was kind of a good life lesson about like raising your hand in that moment.
Yeah, it worked for me one other time. We had just graduated Buds, and so you have Buds and you have SQT, and I think we were the first class, or if not the first, maybe the second, to go to SEER as SEER training as a class. And the instructor walks in, and we're in one of the classrooms. He's like, "Hey, this isn't going to be good, but I need 2 volunteers." It was three volunteers. I'm like, fuck it. Raised my hand, and my buddy Arias next to me raised his hand, and my other buddy Jake next to him raised his hand, and they're like, "All right." I forget how many. I think there was 20 of us or something of that nature. He's like, "Yeah, there's only 17 slots for SEER, and there's 20 of you, so you 3 beat it. I don't want to see you for 2 weeks." So I just got like a 2-week vacation. It was the only other time volunteering worked out in my life, really.
Yeah, it doesn't normally work out that good.
No, not at all.
Man. And then throughout the history of your years at the teams, what was your role? What was your primary role?
So checked in as a new guy, and you're just a new guy. Most new guys carry automatic weapons your first go around. However, I was fortunate enough to, right when I got home from that deployment, I was able to go to sniper school. And I got comm school and sniper school as a new guy, which was a very big deal back then. And so I became part of the recce element in my platoon. And I was a new guy, but I was up with the snipers in the recce element. So I enjoyed that thoroughly. And then we ended up deploying to Baghdad, and I ran recce, as a new guy the whole time on that deployment. Then came home, and you start a whole other cycle every 2 years. And I think I was like a assistant team lead for the recce element. Then I became the team lead for the recce element. And then after that, I became lead petty officer called LPO. So it's the head E6 that's in charge of everyone in the platoon. So you have your chief below you or above you, sorry, and all your peers and subordinates below you. And it's a very challenging position for sure, because you're catching shit from both ends, right?
Yeah.
And your peers are testing you, and your subordinates are testing you, and you got to toe the line for the boss. So did that, and after that, went to a training command, went to land warfare, and so stayed in Virginia Beach, but land warfare training is in Fort Smith, Arkansas. So I think it was 4 weeks at the time, 3 or 4 weeks, and we were running, I don't know how many classes a year, but I was gone a lot. We spent a lot of time out in Fort Smith during that period, and then went back to Team 8 after that, did another pump. And after that, went to Group 2, which is our parent command, and sat over there for about a year and a half, working in the N8 shop. It's like the acquisition shop, if you will.
Yeah.
And then I went to Team 4 and did a deployment to South America there. And after Team 4, went to another training command and retired out of there.
Wow.
So it's in a snapshot, but I spent most of my career at Team 8. I think altogether like 5 or 6 deployments at Team 8.
Wow. Yeah, that's a phenomenal career at the teams.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I got to deploy to Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, and South America. So kind of did the world tour and saw a lot of interesting things. So I'm very thankful for it, for sure.
For sure. Mountain Tough is the fitness app trusted by the dedicated. Mountain Tough ethos is backed by, we've always wanted to be the best in the world at helping our customers become more mentally tough. So inside the Mountain Tough app, you're not only going to find all of our physical training programs, but you're going to find additional training as well, so that you can stay sharp physically, mentally, spiritually, and nutritionally. The Mountain Tough app also allows you to train no matter where you are, anytime, anywhere. Additionally, the Mountain Tough app is going to have programs from beginners all the way up to elite athletes. And all of our programming is structured in a way that you can start with no gear at body weight, and you can go all the way up to programming that is full gear. So you can do that in a robust home gym or your local gym. There's no excuse for you not to start today. With Mountain Tough, you can conquer your goals with the ideal program for your lifestyle and schedule. Train with equipment or just your body weight on your phone, tablet, TV, or web browser. Most importantly, Mountain Tough will help you train your mindset so you are always ready for anything life throws your way. Mountain Tough is offering the Mountain Tough podcast listeners an incredible offer. 6 weeks free on the Mountain Tough app. All you need to do is use the code MTNPOD to redeem your 6 weeks of training. That'll be a 14-day free trial plus a whole additional 4 weeks of training. Just go to mountaintough.com and enter code MTNPOD for your 6 weeks free on the best-in-class physical and mental training app. That's pretty cool. I was thinking about as you were chatting just around your career, how perfect it is that you were in recce, especially as a hunter, especially like the hunting you're doing now. I'm not sure how much hunting you did like growing up as a kid and as a child, but like recce guys, it's like the perfect crossover to hunting, backcountry hunting, all hunting. That's pretty cool that was your path.
Yeah. I, I'm thankful for it, and it's helped me a lot in while hunting for sure. The skill sets I was able to acquire over the years. I grew up doing some bird hunting, did duck and pheasant, then didn't start hunting till I got to the SEAL teams when I was a new guy, and didn't start, big game hunting or deer hunting, I should say, until I got to the SEAL teams in '08. A guy in my platoon, someone in his bud's class, dad had a lease in Emporia, Virginia, which is like an hour and 45 minutes away. So I met him for lunch, and then drove up to the farm, and I was able to join that lease and hunted up there for years. And Emporia, it was a tough spot to hunt. The reason being is we were the only one around that still hunted. Everyone else runs dogs.
Yeah.
Right. So soon as rifle season starts, I mean, the deer are so skittish. It's so hard to see anything. And then, you'll hear those hounds bark, and the hounds don't know whose property is whose. And then they'll come pushing a buck through or something like that. And
It's chaos.
I 100% understand the sportsmanship of running running deer with dogs. And because I've seen these guys, hey, what dog was on that big mature buck? Oh, that was my dog. And the owners are extremely, prideful of how well their hounds do. But I personally really like still hunting, and or spot and stalking vice running dogs for deer.
For sure. And you should
so I did that for years, and I did a couple platoons with Morgan Luttrell.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, you need to come to Texas and hunt. I said, man, I'd love to sometimes. And I go out there, and, it's 5:30 in the morning or so. And he's like, it's early. The feeder doesn't go off till like 6:50 or something of that nature. I'm like, what's that mean? We got to be out there early. That feeder goes off, and in 10 minutes, I see more deer than I've seen for the last 7 years. I'm like, and then I start, I'm like, okay, so I go to Emporia, I got gas money, beer money, poker money. And I'm up there every weekend. This before we had kids, during deer season. Like, all this money I spend, I can come to Texas about 4 times.
Yeah.
So I just started going to Texas as much as I could during the hunting season, and that's where I've killed most of my large deer for sure.
Yeah, it's like the different areas, regions you can hunt in. It's wild, the different things that you'll see, like a Montana elk hunt, public land, backcountry. I mean, you might not see an elk for 3 days, or maybe you don't see an elk for 7. Or you might stumble into 40 of them. You just never know, like, where the different parts of the globe are going to take you.
Mm-hmm. I got addicted to elk hunting last year. I shot my first elk last year, and it was not my first time elk hunting, but it was the first time I had a tag. I've tagged along with Jay while he was elk hunting, because I just like going, and if someone shoots one, I can help pack it out, and I just like being a part of the process. So I'm not going to say I had a hang of it by any means, but I definitely underestimated the amount of hiking we were going to do every day. I mean, we're doing 13, 15 miles a day.
Yeah.
Just up and down. But you know how it is. You get into them, and they run away for 10 seconds, and that's a 20-minute walk for you, right?
Yeah.
And then you just do that over and over and over. And I mean, the miles just start adding up.
Oh, it adds up, especially when they're bugling and you're like, we got to chase that bugle. And then they keep moving and moving and moving.
It's like a drug, and you can't not chase it.
Yeah.
Or like, I got to see what this bull looks like.
Yeah.
And then the wind shifts, and you readjust your approach. And it's very special, and just being up in the mountains and seeing these, majestic animals, like there's nothing else like it.
Mm-hmm.
They're massive. We called in, Jay was behind me calling, and he called in a spike, I don't know, 4 yards away from me. And I'm just pinned up against this tree, this evergreen. and it's looking right at me, but it can't smell me. We have good wind, and it's still intimidating. Like, that's a large animal,
Oh
4 foot
yeah.
away from you, 5 foot
Yeah.
away, but it's very exhilarating.
Oh, yeah, it's like nothing else. I mean, when they're coming in, bugling, screaming, fighting, you'll see like the crazy look in those bulls' eyes. And sometimes they're drooling. It's
Mhm.
it's like nothing else when they're in rut and you're just standing there with your bow and they're less than 20 yards away.
I just can't get over how, I don't know. I guess I'm going to use the word majestic elk hunting is when you're in that scenario, right? And you're
Hmm.
seeing them and you're smelling them and you can almost feel it. And, after I shot mine, Jay just picked up from the taxidermist. It's out at his cabin in Montana. I haven't seen it yet, but it happened last year. It still feels unreal.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. And, all the emotions that come, with it afterwards, once he crashes, right? Oh man, it was just, I didn't think an animal could make me that happy.
That
You know?
emotion, yeah, that just
Yeah.
overtakes you.
hmm And I get bad buck fever too,
Uh-huh.
and so that makes things, even more challenging, because I sit there and I have to do the same thing. I have to like go through my little process, or I take a breath, draw, and I just tell myself, all right, get your shit together, take another breath, and then hit the bottom of my natural respiratory pause and just let her fly. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
then everything came together. So
There's so many times where the elk are coming in close and you have an arrow knocked and your heartbeat is beating so hard that it's like your ears are vibrating and you can't get it to stop. And it's just like, dum, 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 dum.
so we're hunting. I'll go ahead and tell the whole elk story since we're talking about this. So we're hunting 2 or 3 days, I think 3 days, and we get into them a lot. Just made some good moves. Just didn't have anything within range yet. The elk were bugling. The cows were not nestrous yet, so they weren't coming to a cow call, right? So that made things, a lot more difficult. And Jay and I decided one afternoon, it was like I said, I think the fourth day, he's like, let's go check some cameras on the south side. And so we hop in the Jeep, check cameras, and then drive all the way around the property, come back, and we're on the north side, and we hear a couple bulls firing off. And so make a move, make our initial move, and don't see them. Then another one bugles from just over the next ridge, pop over that ridge and come down. And there's about, I don't know, 30 of them or so, and maybe about 10 bulls. And Jay hunts extremely aggressive. Like, he just goes right at them. In his mindset, he's like, it's either going to happen or it's not, right?
Yeah.
And I'm more of a methodical, like, let's just ease on up there and keep playing the wind.
Yeah.
And he's like, go. And boom, we went right at him. And I'm in the last line of cover, this evergreen, standing there, and he's back behind me, 10 yards or so, and he's moving around calling. And that's when that young spike came in.
Yeah.
And then there was this nice bull it slowly starts easing towards us, and he gets on a fire break, and he's facing away from it. And Jay's like, I'm going to turn him and shoot him. And like, how far away is he? He's 80 yards. I'm like, come on. And
Yeah.
so I knock arrow, I'm like, dial for 80. And I've done this at tack and stuff, but not on like a real animal when it matters.
Yeah.
And I look back, and he's laying down, and he lazes me. He was 8 yards behind me, and then lazes the animal, or the elk, and the elk was 88 yards away. So he's like, 80 yards, send it. And I went, and he's like, and then he lets out a cow call. It turns almost completely broadside, quartering away a little bit. Send it. And he's yelling at me. I'm like, all right, let's go. Boom. And I watch this arrow just go up, and there's one big like loop, and poof. And I hit him. I heard it. And he took like 3 steps, and Jay pops up. He's like, oh, he's hurt. And then boom, maybe like, I don't know, 15 seconds later, I was losing my mind. So
He just fell over.
Time-wise, crashed.
Oh.
And then, but when he crashed, all the other elk ran away, and we thought he popped back up. And so we're looking, and Jay thinks he sees the bull that I shot, But then he sees that bull bugle. He's like, there's no way the bull you shot is bugling.
Yeah.
And then he's looking around, and I'm just staying right behind this tree. And so I'm not looking all that much, right? I'm just looking at him, and he's going to tell me to step out and shoot again. So I'm watching him, and then I hear another crash. Well, when all the other elk took off, he stood up and took maybe like 2 steps. And we're looking where all the elk went, not where he was really. And he went behind this bush, and then this bush just gets plowed over, and he crashes in it. And Jay throws his binos in the air, and comes over and gives me a big hug. And, oh yeah, it was glorious.
It's so amazing. It becomes like, it feels surreal when you're in those environments.
It does, man. Like I'm still in disbelief, you know, and it's just. I know there's, a lot of folks that don't hunt out there, but man, if I could just share this feeling with them, I think they would become hunters.
I know.
Yeah. And then I got a family of 5, and we're almost through the whole elk already. My kids just love it. It's healthy, it's just a win-win across the board, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get the adventure, the brotherhood, the camaraderie. You're pushing your body hard, your mind hard. There's, I think like all men need adventure. Like adventure feeds our soul, and without it, like our soul is going to decay. And that's one of the beauties of hunting, is it's just like an instant adventure every single time. And you can't really find anything like equivalent to that with a lot of other sports and hobbies, because there's so much unknown in hunting, where if you do like an Ironman or anything like that, there's phenomenal physical and mental benefits to that. But hunting, it's just like, you don't know what's going to happen. There's no trail. You don't know how long you're going to be out there. There's a lot of unknown with the weather, the environment, the elevation. And so it brings a whole new like dynamic to it. And when you're dealing with all of those variables, and then you harvest a 1,200 pound animal with a string and a stick, it's like unbelievable.
It is. I've never heard someone say that the lack of adventure, eats the soul. That's very interesting. Especially it's very pertinent to our time and place now, where there's more folks cooped up inside on devices than ever. Have you, you said that. Have you seen this in somebody?
Yeah.
And then turned them and gave them adventure, and gave them an outlet and watched the rejuvenation happen?
For sure. I think you are right that it's probably like more so than ever before with our technology and how comfortable like American life can become. And I think that that's only going to get worse as we look at the next 10 years. And with the AI revolution that's happening right now, it certainly has like a potential to get a lot worse. But I think that my belief is that God built us for adventure, and God built us for adventure and a battle to fight. And if we neglect that adventure part of us, I think that that's where we see a lot of these negative symptoms start to manifest, especially in men. So like you might have like a man with an amazing job. It's an office job. He's paid well and treated well, but if he has no adventure driving his life and his soul, then you do see the depression, you see the anxiety, you see the suicide rates climbing. And I think a lot of that is related to that we weren't built for comfort. We weren't built for like a mundane, boring life where everything is known and there's so much clarity. And so people that are struggling, that have especially added hunting to their life, definitely start to turn a corner. And I think turning the corner it works in other areas, but it works phenomenal in hunting, because like if you are that working professional right now and you are lacking adventure and you're experiencing those negative symptoms, and we get you pumped and you draw a Colorado elk tag, now like all of a sudden you're shooting your bow in your backyard every day. But now you have some like physicality kicking in. You have some vitamin D kicking in. You have like a sense of learning something new and mastery kicking in. And so you're going to train for 6 to 9 months for that tag. And then there's a lot you have to learn. You have to learn like how to camp, how to be an outdoorsman, where you're going to go, who you're going to go with. And so adventure definitely can transform someone from the inside out for sure.
I completely agree with you. And I call it tree stand therapy. I know typically you don't hunt elk in tree stands, but I do a lot of deer hunting, and I've seen this unfold, within me and within others. We do Gold Star Wive hunts, so we'll have some Gold Star Wives out down to Kentucky and bring them deer hunting. Done that the last couple years in a row, and there's this one gal I was sitting with, and she has one of the harshest, stories about her husband, because she was there, during his passing, unfortunately, in a skydiving accident. And we were hunting, and she was very pregnant at the time, and so she's moving around trying to get comfortable, and I just asked her a couple questions, not too many, but this is later, I just let the woods come alive. Right. And we're in there, we got our little buddy heater, trying to keep her as comfortable as possible. And we're not seeing many deer. And then I just asked one open-ended question, and I forget what that question was. And she told me, the whole story of her husband's passing. It was extremely powerful. Right. And horrific, unfortunately. And we get back, and Brooke, Charlie Keating's wife, she was there, and I'm good friends with her. And I told Brooke, I'm like, she was nice enough to tell the whole story, and I think, that's a very powerful story. And Brooke said, "Wait, she told you, the full story?" I said, "Yeah, she did." She's like, I've been to 50 retreats, with her, and she's never ever told her story before to anyone. Man. And amongst the girls, right? She just won't share it with folks that she is just meeting, no matter who they are. Yeah. And I just met her, and I told Brooke, I just looked at her, I said, "That's the tree stand. That's the woods." Yeah. I was just there. Yeah. And I take no. It wasn't me that she told the story to. I can't take I can't take responsibility for her telling me the story. I truly think, it's the tree stand, and it's the woods, and it's the environment, right? And I think everyone needs that. And then something very similar, happened this last year on our last Gold Star Wives hunt. A gal just lost her husband the year prior, and we were hunting together, and I mean, we were taking some pokes, there's some long shots at some does. It's getting late. And so she's this doe, like 400 yards, just under 400 yards. Right. And we're reloading. Like, we got a lot going on in there. And she's, on the window trying to get steady. And I'm telling her I'm like, I get buck fever too. I'm trying to lace this thing, and my hand's shaking. Right. So, and I'm telling her to breathe, and, coaching her through the shot. And then afterwards we get back, she's like, "That was the first time I haven't thought about my husband since his passing." And I was just, looking at the deer, looking out there, and then thinking about, looking at how beautiful it is out here, and looking at the woods. Then the deer started coming out, and my mind was so preoccupied with everything that was going on outside the tree stand. Yeah. It didn't have room, for those negative thoughts to creep in, and or positive thoughts, about her husband. And once again, I mean, that is tree stand therapy. It's a real freaking thing, man. Get outside every chance you get. Get your kids outside, because it'll heal the soul. Yeah, it really will.
Hey guys, I did want to interrupt for a quick minute right here and let you know about some supplements I've been taking. I did shy away from supplements for a long time. I was always cautious about what they were made out of, where they were from, and who the team was behind the brands. But over the last couple of years, I've got to meet the team at Mountain Ops from top to bottom, and they are an amazing group of humans. I've got to know the CEO, Trevor Farnes, really well, and he is a mission-focused individual that cares about humans, living a better quality of life so that they can have that abundant life. So over the last couple of years, he has helped me add some things that have changed the game for me. One of those things that I've added is creatine from Mountain Ops. It helps me maintain some muscle mass, but also it's a big, big player in cognitive function, one of the most researched supplements out there. Also, I've added reds, greens, and protein, all from Mountain Ops. What I found as a busy professional, always on the run, I do eat a whole foods diet for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but on the go, it's hard to get enough vegetables, fruits, and protein. So I've added that from Mountain Ops, and it has significantly changed the game. I can feel it in my performance. I haven't got sick for a long, long time, and I can certainly feel it in my mental clarity as well. The last thing I've added is the Mountain Tough Hydrate product for the backcountry, for hunting season. When I'm in the hills, I do run short on those electrolytes. We even have a Mountain Tough flavor, the Mountain Tough Lemon Lime Hydrate, and that is a game changer for hydration in the backcountry. So I keep it really simple. That is all I've added to my protocol, and it has certainly helped me, and I certainly believe in the team and the culture behind Mountain Ops. They have started an initiative that's been around for a while called Conquer Hunger. Conquer Hunger is giving meals to hungry kids that aren't getting enough food, and they've given out over 6 million meals plus to kids through their Conquer Hunger initiative. So every order that happens at Mountain Ops, a percentage of that order goes to Conquer Hunger. So certainly an incredible company, an incredible culture. As a listener to the show, you do get an exclusive offer to Mountain Ops, so make sure you check that out. The offer is incredible as a first-time purchase at mountainops.com. So build your order if it's your first time. They are offering you a 20% exclusive discount. All you need to do is enter the promo code MOUNTAINTOUGH, all one word, all caps, for 20% off your first order at mountainops.com. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was about 3 or 4 years ago with Mountain Tough, because there's just a lot of Americans just struggling, like complacency, passivity, suicide, loss, depression, you name it, addiction. And so 3 or 4 years ago, we just started communicating a lot like, hey, if you're struggling, if you're listening out there and you're struggling, one of the simplest hacks out there that's going to make a major, major difference is wherever you live. It doesn't matter where you live. You can do this in any state in the country for sure, is just to go camp outdoors for 3 days without your phone. Like if you are in Montana and you backpack into the mountains 3 days by yourself, no phone, you can do this in Florida, you can do this in Tennessee. It doesn't matter where you're at, but like nature is so healing. Vitamin D is so healing. There's incredible healing in just being still and actually being bored. Like that boredom allows a lot of clarity to come in. We got to get away from some of this noise, and it's only getting noisier. I mean, it's a crazy, crazy hack. Like just get out there, and maybe 3 days is too much, do 2 days. Maybe 2 days is too much, do one night. But try to like unplug from these Zoom calls, these conference calls, these phones. It's just 24/7 kind of clogging up that brain space, and the outdoors just can have some major, major breakthroughs in that.
I completely agree. And we're all guilty of it, right? With your phone, you can check your email anytime. You can, set up calls. You can just work around the clock, right?
Mhm.
And it's hard to set that thing down and even look up, right? When you're working and you're in the groove. And I try very hard, and I'm very cognizant of it, once my kids get home, to spend time with them. I know a lot of times they're in the front door and out the back, right? To go play with all their friends, and then I'll work a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to get away.
Yeah.
And so I think camping, without your phone it would be great for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's intimidating, start walking, then go walk at night,
Yeah.
find a safe spot, go walk in the woods. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in the evening, right. And just chill by yourself. I do believe that everyone should, spend some time by themselves in the woods, 100%.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Shifting gears a little bit, when did you and Jay decide to do the show, the podcast? Where did that idea come from? What do you guys think about in terms of like your mission of the show, your goal of the show? What are you kind of
Yep.
going after?
So originally, I wanted to start it as a brand building mechanism, and then it turned into so much more than that. And I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I do, the podcast. And I thoroughly enjoy it. We've had some cool people on. I didn't know anything about country music artists or any of that nature,
Yeah.
anything that pertains to their work. And a lot of people don't think that they're country music artists, right? And they're artists, and artists think a different way. Whether you're a painter or a musician, or no matter what type of art you do, you have your mind works a little bit different. And a lot of folks see these country music singers, and a lot of it's based off the songs that they sing as like big macho men, and they are macho, and most of these guys are just great human beings, but they have a very artistic side, and I didn't know that. And I didn't know anything about the the business side of country music or music in general. So learning all that's been great. And of course, talking to people about their hunting stories is by far my favorite part. Hearing everyone's bucket list hunt.
Yeah.
We had a gentleman on by the name of Co Weltsel. He's a country music singer, and he was bear hunting with I believe with hounds. And a bear went in a cave, and he crawled in there, and he couldn't carry his bow in there. So he crawls in there, they hand him his bow, and he stays in the cave and shoots the bear.
What? Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That's what I said. So yeah, I mean, you gotta hear some, good life stories and some great hunting stories. And I'm always curious what everyone's bucket list hunt is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For sure. Yeah, you guys have done a great job with that. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, it's been great for the brand, great for Outsider, and it also gives us a platform to to tell our story on, and to send our message on, and our message is get outside. Any chance you get. Instead of drinking beer on the couch, go do it on the back porch. Go tailgate, go walk, go hunting. Get your kids outside, and you don't have to hunt. You don't have to fish. Go on a walk, go kayaking, or something of that nature. Go to a park. Just get outside.
Yeah. Yeah. The beauty of a podcast is so cool. I mean, we've had the same experience with Mountain Tough, just the ability to talk to your community, the ability to kind of curate and control the narrative of your brand and what your brand stands for and believes in. But just like you said, the amount of amazing, like interesting, cool people you get to engage with is priceless. And there's something about a long form discussion where you have a long form discussion with someone, and afterwards you're kind of best friends, where before that you were kind of strangers. And it's kind of like a lost art now, where it doesn't happen as much as it used to. And the podcast gives you that tremendous platform to do that.
I agree. I was listening to live music at a bar called Fox and Locks out in Leapers Fork here in Franklin. And Thursday night they have singer-songwriter night. So everyone's will get two songs, I believe. So you're going to see like 20 or 30 people throughout the evening, and they're all great musicians. And this guy got up there and he gave a little snapshot of his life story in about 20 seconds. How he's from the Congo, and the rebels invaded his village, and him and his family had to go run. They lived in the jungle for I think 6 months, and made their way to Nigeria, where they lived in a refugee camp for 9 years. And so I just approached him. I said, "Hey, here's my business card, and we have a podcast. I'd love to have you on." And I had him on last week, and it was one of the most powerful stories, life stories I've ever heard. And I wouldn't have that ability to sit down and have the long form discussion with him if I didn't have this platform. So I'm thankful for it.
Wow. Yeah. Talk about a mental toughness story.
Oh, it's unreal. So I think it comes out in a week or two. So give it a listen.
I will, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you, man. I want to be respectful of your time, and it's going to be cool to come down and see you guys later this month. And that's going to be really fun to see you in your studio in Nashville, and just love what you guys are doing. Love what you stand for. We need more of it. And I think, you and I are preaching the same message around getting people outside and adventure and just getting out there and taking some of these risks. And so really, really glad we got a chance to connect today.
Likewise. And let's do some stuff together, man. We have the same message. You're a great guy. Let's do a collaboration, get something going, or anything like that. So, because I want to get behind everything you're doing as well.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Right on, brother. I'll see you in a couple weeks, man. Okay. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
What a phenomenal conversation with Sam. Remember, every single episode, we're looking for that golden nugget. What can we take away from these episodes and apply to our lives immediately, tonight, tomorrow, this week, so that we have that practical approach to mental toughness? After this episode, I got to have the chance to go down and hang out with Sam in person and have lunch with him. He is a phenomenal leader. He's phenomenal on his leadership and how he's building culture and organizations, and really cares about the guy on his left and his right. The golden nugget for me with Sam is just that never quit mentality. He talked about it a little bit on this episode, but he did get injured in his first BUD/S class, failed out in a timed run. Then he was rolled back, placed immediately into the next class, and due to his injury, he failed again and washed out. But he would not give up. He worked his way through the reapplication process and eventually was able to return and graduate from BUD/S. So it just shows that if you want something in life, you just pursue it and you never quit. That never quit mentality, regardless of the obstacles. It took him a little longer, but it did pay off with that 20-year career at the teams. Remember that. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. If you do enjoy it, please leave us a ranking and review on the podcast store of your choice. If you're on YouTube right now, please subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you'll be able to see every single episode drop and get notified when our new episodes drop each week. Love you guys. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you on the next episode.